Screen sharing.
The following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised.
How come you're like so big? No, but
This is a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. Two young lovers with nothing better to do than sit around the house, get high and watch a tube. And here's what happened when they decided to cut loose. They headed down to El Paso. I swear they ran into a great big hassle. Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Bobby Sue took the money and run. Go on, take the
Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is onair@yourteam.pro.
knows just exactly what the facts is. He ain't gonna let those two escape justice. He makes his living off of the people's taxes. Bobby Sue, whoa, whoa, she slipped away. Billy Joe caught up to her the very next day. They got the money, hey, you know they got away. They headed down south and they're still running today. Singing, gone.
And now, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony.
Good morning, ladies and gents. You guys are on mute. Good old boomers. huh?
Oh, hello. Sorry about that, guys.
that's what happens when I leave the technical stuff to Randy.
She can't help herself, man. How's it going out there?
It's going well here.
Man.
I see you guys are all comfortable out there, huh?
Oh, yes, we're settled in. How about you? What's the weather like?
Wouldn't you like to know, huh? Well, it's still cold here out in Canada.
Yeah,
You guys have escaped for a few weeks.
It was warm when we left.
yeah, it wasn't
Oh.
bad.
It got cold now?
It's not warm. It wasn't warm when you left. Well, it wasn't warm when you left, but it's definitely not. It was
It was
warmer, I
warm.
guess, but it's pretty cool out today. My son had a flag football finals yesterday, so I'm sitting outside in the cold for like an hour and a half.
Oh,
That was
wow.
fun.
Well, if you
Yeah.
go by Fahrenheit, which I do, it's 36 degrees. So it's just it's 4 degrees above freezing.
I don't know Fahrenheit.
I know. To me, I don't know. I know we have a lot of
Even
American
Celsius.
listeners.
No,
I know we have a
idea.
lot of American listeners, but this Fahrenheit, I think, is a little bit kind of out there.
I don't get it at all either. But Amanda uses it. Like in her house, you ask her what she keeps her heat at, and she rhymes off a silly number.
Yeah, it's probably because she doesn't know how to change the thermostat back to Celsius. so she has no choice.
Probably. I got to ask her that.
She can't defend herself, so I can say it.
You're lucky she can't.
Well, I can tell you it's nice and warm here, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And sunny. That's
Nice.
yeah.
Sunny, nice. Randy was sweating when we went to
What's
breakfast.
the temperature?
Oh, I have it here.
I think it's.
It was raining yesterday when we got here,
But
though.
are you doing Celsius or Fahrenheit?
I'm doing what I know, which is Celsius,
We can get Gary.
I don't know
Gary
this.
can translate for our American friends.
28.
28.
28?
Yeah, 28.
So are you able to?
What's that, like 70?
I'm doing it right now. It's 82 in Fahrenheit, which is Florida, southern U.S. temperatures. So that's really warm. 84. That's great.
Yeah, this is the coldest day for the week, actually, the week coming up. The rest is like 30, 30, 30.
Listen, Jackie, we don't need to know any more about the weather out there,
Okay, I'm
okay?
getting my tan on, Anthony.
So,
Wait, but before you get into your dialogue, because we know you talked
Okay.
for a long time, Randy.
okay.
For all of our listeners, again, thanks for coming along for the ride. If you want to join in on a conversation, you can send us an email at onair@yourteam.pro, or you can watch us live on YouTube. The search for YHYM, Your Home, Your Money, and you can see Randy and Jackie in their summer attire.
Yes, my bright orange or coral.
Hey, Mikey, are you able to allow us to share a screen? Because we got to do a draw here.
Yeah, no problem. We can do
A
that.
spin. If we can share a screen, we
Yeah,
had.
well,
Hmm?
I'll give you the permissions. So now you can do
Thank
it. So go for it.
What? Okay, peoples. So for those of you who are watching live, you can see the screen. But for those of you that aren't, that's okay. We will explain it.
What is it?
What's happened is that we sent out an email to everyone. Oh shoot! No, we didn't send it to the radio listeners, or did we? So we sent it out to everyone that we had email addresses, but I think we may have, and I promise you, we will not do that again. We may have missed the radio list.
Nice, Randy. Nice one. Way to
Yeah,
go.
I'm thinking we did. Now looking back on it, we sent out to everyone that we
But the
thought,
radio.
but I think the radio, because they're not, because we don't send them our client stuff. So I'm
Well,
sorry,
that's a big
we're gonna get
deal.
better. We're gonna get better, people. This is the second time we're doing this on air. And basically we send out with a fun little quiz. Our quiz, if you get the answer right, you get to join the draw. If you don't get it right, well, we'll help you to get it right. But most of the answers, if you're not sure, probably are available with a
Google.
quick Google search. So, and it's just a one little quick thing. Once a month we do this. Our normal Fun Day Monday is the first Monday of each month. But for the radio show, we've sort of changed it up and made it the last Saturday of each month. So that's why we're doing this today. And 3 people out
Hold
of
on, and you didn't explain what it is. We give out an Amazon gift card, $25.
Mhm.
And we do Amazon because we have listeners all over the world, believe it or not. We have them in Germany, everywhere, and everybody can have access to Amazon and use the gift. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
$25 gift. So let's hope that a lot more people tune in and join. But right now, only 3 people did. So they've got a 1/3 of 33.33333 repeated chance
Okay.
of winning.
Thanks for that.
But I'd be technical. And the 3 contestants are Tasmia, sorry about that, Jason, and Shrieg,
Is that Shrieg or Craig spelled differently?
Chirag. So,
Yeah, sure, you gotta go with Randy there.
Shrieg, okay.
so if you guys are ready, we're about to do the draw. We're gonna click the button and it's going to spin and we're gonna see who the winner is. Oh, you know what? Let's do a few more shuffles, shuffling up the names.
There's only 3 names, Randy. Like,
Yeah,
I know.
there we go.
I know, okay.
Oh,
No.
Jason! It looks like Jason's the winner. Yay, congratulations, Jason. You get a $25 gift certificate
Or Amazon.
for Amazon.
What did they have to do for our listeners out there? What do they have to do to win, to be eligible to be put on the list?
Just send in an email, and what we're going to do, we're going to, with the help of Anthony, we're going to
Oh,
put
he's good. So now it's Anthony to blame if it doesn't
Anthony
work
and
out.
Orin and Amanda, we are going to make sure that from now on, everybody who sends an email, make it in. We're gonna set up a radio show email list in our CRM so that we can send out the draws to them each and every time we're having them, as well as any other fun things we may be doing.
And Amanda, for the new listeners, is part of our team as well, but she has a new baby, so she hasn't been doing the radio show for the last year, but hopefully she'll come back at some point and be able to get her Saturday an hour back to come on the show.
Great.
So just
And,
to-
and the next question would be for our folks that are listening right now around the world, is the prize, whatever you send, done electronically through an email?
Yeah.
Or physically?
Yeah,
Okay, so the folks, you don't have to worry about if you're in Belgium that they're going to send a card to you over the Belgium physically and it gets lost in the mail then or something like that, right?
no, we've
Okay.
technologically advanced.
Okay, beautiful.
You know what I thought of when you said that? RoboCop. Don't ask me why.
You know,
It would cost
we-
more than $25 to send it, believe me.
We tried last month, we tried having like as a web page that had it, but unfortunately people were saying that the web page was causing them to have to put their phone number and all this stuff, and we weren't really interested in that. We wanted to make it light and fun.
Well,
And
you can send a gift to people
mhm.
through Amazon and they get it as well. Like, so it's not like, somehow you can connect.
I think email is better. 'Cause email is
Yeah.
easier.
You just email, you can just email it to them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
email them
Oh,
and-
okay, I didn't know
we
that.
email them the link.
What do
and-
I know? I'm not
The
tech savvy.
only thing is that the winner may have to give some kind of something so that Amazon can verify that it
Yeah,
is their
some
card. But
kind
we
of
don't know.
something.
No,
Well,
that's between them and Amazon. So once we give them the
Yeah.
card, then yeah. that's-
Yeah, just to let you know, we here at the radio station, we've given out prizes like that, gift cards to Walmart and different things. And that's how we handle it because the listeners are worldwide, and we send it through their active email, and then whatever they do from there, that's up to them. But that's what we do. It's the easiest way.
Awesome.
I have to just say, you notice how Randy said something to somewhere to someone? Like, what the hell is something, he does that to me all the time. He'll be like, what did you do there? He'll say to me, oh, remember that thing we're supposed to do for so-and-so? And I'm looking at him like, what? And he's like, you know, I'm like,
Hey, Jackie,
how
gotta
the
get
heck do I
gotta get in
know?
your game, Jackie. You gotta get on top of your game. What's going on here?
Yeah, but I'm like, and then he gets frustrated at me. I'm like, how am I supposed to know that thing for that someone?
But wait, but
We
Jackie,
do it
you guys
all
been
the
married for
time.
what, 20 years? 20, 24?
Almost 30.
Exactly. So you should know these things.
I should know
should
these
say-
things. Yeah, Anthony.
One word and you should be like finishing the sentences. Come on now.
I can do that, but I don't know this thing for someone. There's many things and many someones.
I
But
don't
that's
know.
what
I think
apparently,
that's right.
apparently that's what happens when you get old though.
No comment.
It's kind of crazy. But once again, congratulations, Jason, for being the winner of this month's draw. And we look forward to having everybody be able to participate because I thought we sent it out because we sent out quite a few, but I'm thinking now we may have missed those, but I'm not sure.
Well,
So you
maybe
guys let us
somebody-
know.
Yeah, maybe somebody who is listening now that's trying to participate can throw in an email, let us know if they got it.
If they did get it
They got
then,
it,
but
yes.
otherwise we'll be sending out guaranteed for the next one. We'll make sure that we set something up specifically for this.
Everybody
think-
notice how Randy is full screen in and he keeps edging the computer.
I'm
Now,
just much bigger.
now my shoulder is out. Yeah,
It's just a bad angle.
no, it's because we can't get close enough together.
There you go. All right, all right. So, hey, listen, I can't help it. I gotta mention the Bank of Canada raised the rates 0.5 point.
Yeah,
So I had a bet
Killing everybody.
I had a bet that, and,
A lot of people said it
a
wasn't
loony-
gonna happen, but you said it was.
that's right, loony, I said, yes, they are gonna raise the rates. And, now that they've raised the rates, you see, the whole thing is, I knew 100% that they had to get to 3.5 to 3 3/4, because that's considered the neutral zone for the Bank of Canada. And understand that with all of the issues that are going on and all of the attacks that the Bank of Canada is under, because, they're basically hurling us into a recession, and they're doing it on purpose. And
Well,
they,
it's a full out assault on real estate, if you ask me.
that's true. It is a war on real estate, but that's not intended. That's a collateral damage.
Yeah, but they should have known it by now, and then they're still raising the rates, and they're
They
not doing
have-
nothing about the stress test.
They have other obligations, sweetheart. That's the thing. Their
To bankrupt
obligation,
everybody.
their obligation is not to the real estate industry. It's not to for recession even necessarily. It's their number one obligation is inflation. And so since inflation is rampant and out of control, they have basically, this is what they believe their only lever is, based on historical practices. And this is what they believe they need to do.
Yeah, but they're taking everybody's quality of life away. Like, let's be, not everybody, that's a far stretch.
Many people.
But I mean, what percent of people are rich? They're fine. The rest of us little folks, we're not. So to me, and then buying a home, get rid of the stress test if you're going to constantly bring up the interest rate.
Wouldn't that kind of counteract the whole raising interest rates? If they raise the rates and then right away take away the stress tests, then you lose no buying power, and then inflation will still continue. Well, in terms of housing, anyways.
Yeah, in terms of housing, it would put an upward pressure on demand.
But
Definitely.
how many people can even qualify now? Come on.
This is in essence the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I agree they should reduce I'm just being devil's advocate here, but yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've read articles where people are saying how they've been saving, and they can't do it. So now they're like, forget it, then I'll just go on vacation, this and that, because they don't ever see them being able to get a home.
Well,
It's
It
not,
was-
it's not fair.
I'm not sure now. When they brought in the stress test, I thought that was really, really inconsiderate. And the reason being, I understand it, because you're sort of hedging between those times of really extreme low interest rate and these times when you're getting a little bit more into, still the low end of interest rate. It feels high to everyone, but it's still the low end of the interest rate historical numbers. But the Bank of Canada knew that they're going to have to do something, and they wanted people to be able to not go bankrupt. Well, the truth of the matter is the stress test is only a 2% hike. And they've already raised the rates, 2.5%, 3.5%. So they've far exceeded the protections for the stress test. A lot of people are hurting. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about all of that. Some of it I've got to sink in. And the reason being is because I'm way more concerned about why we're here than anything else. And it's just, to me, it's common sense, but I mean, that's only common sense for a dumb guy, right? Like,
You're not dumb.
some people, right? I mean, I watched, I don't know if you guys have watched the Darrell Books trial. I couldn't stop watching it. And, he's the dumb guy in the room, and he's saying all kinds of stuff, how, he believes he's totally right. And I don't think there was another person on earth other than maybe his family that thought he was right and being treated unjustly. But everybody else, you went and plowed people down in a Santa Claus parade and killed
That guy.
kids and
People.
grandmothers and all sorts of and then you ran over 60 people bouncing off of windshields and everything. And I don't know, you're just insane. But if you watch the trial, the things that he said, which make me kind of a little bit feel like maybe, you know what, I'm not that bright. I could not be the Minister of Finance. I could not be the Governor of Bank of Canada. I just don't have the pedigree nor the education, maybe not even the IQ to be able to do it.
Well, sometimes having the pedigree,
Don't-
the education still doesn't help them.
So don't necessarily listen to what I say. I want to preference all that. I've even put myself in parallel with Daryl Brooks and his crime. So I'm not saying to listen to me, but I still feel what I feel, and this is what I feel. I feel that
Oh, he's
if
getting to the point. Okay.
No, it's
I
about
feel-
20 minutes.
I feel that if we were not allowed out of our homes, we were not allowed to walk with our wives down the street. We were not allowed to take our kids to the park to play.
2 years ago, baby.
Sweetheart, it's 2 years ago we're talking about. This is where the problem came from. If you guys remember, you would have seen memes on the internet of a wife with a dog collar around the husband's neck, and he was on all fours because you could only walk outside if you walked your dog.
I don't think that was a
the
meme.
rules.
That wasn't a meme. That was actually happened.
It actually happened?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Because so they were making
Yeah,
fun
man,
of,
do your research.
okay, it was 2 years ago, okay?
That's
so-
why you shouldn't be
so-
talking about it.
So the thing is that's how strict our rules were. You were not allowed to go outside, okay? You were not allowed to go to work.
We
you were
were,
not-
because we were considered essential.
When you're done, let me know and I'll finish. Okay, so here we
gotta
go.
Interrupt you or we'll never get a
No,
word in.
you can have yours in a minute. And so we weren't allowed to go outside. We weren't allowed to go to work. We weren't allowed to do anything. And that's the way that they ran things here in Canada. So here's the thing. When they did that, you would think that we would be in a recession or a depression. You would think so, because you're nobody's working, or next to nobody's working, only the essential workers. You're not allowed outside, you're not allowed to go to the store, you can't go to the park even though that wouldn't help the economy. You couldn't do any of those things. We should have been in a recession or a depression. And you know what? We would have been perfectly fine with that because we were depressed because we were locked in our homes anyways. But meanwhile, the Bank of Canada lowered the rates and bought up all the debts on the bank's books so they could give out and lend out money for next to nothing to everyone while the government's giving people checks. And so what happened is we were in the best economic times of our lives when we weren't allowed to leave our homes.
How do you
So,
speak to
so
that?
if you
Because
let me
we're-
finish, I'll tell you. You don't. So what happened was and actually that just tells me you didn't listen to the other show that I did. What were you doing, sleeping? So when I did the solo show a week or two ago, so what happened was, as at that time before COVID, the amount of cash floating around in our economy was just under $100 billion. By a year and a half later, throughout COVID, there were almost $400 billion in cash floating around in our economy. That is where money is everywhere. The same dollar that I take and give to the grocery store is floating around, but there's 4 of them to 1 pre-COVID. And that's what made it such a rich economy. But remember, this money is being created by Bank of Canada policies. Bank of Canada didn't create the money. They created the policies that allowed the money to be created. So the difference is that if the Bank of Canada creates money, it's in our economy. We can't do much about it. But when they create policies that create money, which was quantitative easing, buying up all the bank's debts and all that stuff, they can then start to tighten it and suck that money back out of the economy, a good portion of it. So what happens is when we get used to, and a lot of people did, you'll know this, people bought new cars. There was a shortage of cars. They bought new houses, bigger houses. Why? Because there was more money floating around. So they upgraded their lives, only to find out that now that it was almost a 4-to-1, let's call it a 300% increase in the money that was floating around. And now they're going to try to go back to the 100% of the money, which means before, when you upgraded your lives, there was tons of money floating around, and now there's only going to be a handful of money floating around, and you're going to be struggling to try to keep up, but there's just not enough money to go around. That's what's going on. That's quantitative tightening. Never mind, you make it really expensive, so you discourage it. But if you're desperate, you know you got to go and get it anyways, and that's it. It's over. So that's why, like, for me, when you know these things, you're really kind of upset about that, and you can't get over it because in my mind, I believe that the Bank of Canada's policies is responsible for what they're doing now, because then we should have been in a recession, but they boosted up the economy and a false economy and made an absolute false economy out of when people can't work. They make it the richest time in the history of Canada. And now when people can work, they need to go back to where we were, the recession. I want to say one more thing, and then I'll give it up, is that if you guys listen to the Bank of Canada, the governor and the deputy governor did their announcement earlier this week, and point blank in gobbledygook language, which is their language, I consider, or maybe mine's the gobbledygook, but they actually admitted that for the next 3 quarters, they will see negative growth. They said 0 to negative growth. Now, for those of you who are out there, like when they're talking this stuff, they're not saying the truth. In other words, they're pushing us into a recession. That's what that is. 0 growth or negative growth for 2 quarters in a row is a recession. So this is what their plan is. And so, guys, as far as I'm concerned, they're the ones that caused it. And now what they're trying to do at a time of economic prosperity, where we're all ready to go out, we're all ready to work, we're all ready to enjoy our lives, they're stripping that from us because they let us enjoy our lives when we weren't allowed out of the house. That's all I got to say.
How were you enjoying your life when you
Well,
weren't?
it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. Huh?
I'm not finished.
It's a metaphor.
I'm not finished.
All right.
How are you enjoying your life when you're at home, but you can't go out and make money?
Anthony, answer her. Say it. It's a metaphor.
Well, even the metaphor is like you had more money, really, because you had less expenses. Like some people didn't even have to pay rent anymore for a bit.
Or mortgage.
You had
Mortgage.
you weren't going.
You
You
didn't
weren't,
have to pay your mortgage. They said, hey, listen, 6 months relief. Go ahead.
you didn't have to like you couldn't go out, so you couldn't spend money. Really, only thing you could spend on was Amazon. Really.
Yep.
And Amazon went through the roof.
Right.
Yeah, but even still, there's only so much things you can do. Like right, so like
Mhm.
people had more money because they
There's a
weren't
lot of
spending.
stuff on
More.
Amazon, Anthony.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but I mean, if you can't go anywhere to really use the stuff, like there's only so much things you can pack your house with before you know, they get. Yes, everyone bought more, but like you would spend, let's say you're spending $1,000 before on stuff, but now you're spending $200 on Amazon, right? So it's still a net $800 profit, all right, or difference. So now, don't get me wrong, like it sucked to be at home, but we did generally have more cash. That's why once they lifted things, people started leaving like in droves because they had the money saved up to go. It was like nothing, or even the all the housework that got done afterwards, right? Everyone was redoing their homes because again they had the money because they couldn't spend it anywhere else.
because money was floating around like nothing. Because there was 300% more money in our economy floating around from person to person to person to person all over. And that's why. And now the Bank of Canada is surprised that the inflation is crazy. Well,
And
if you pump 300% more money into the economy in a very short period of time, inflation is going to happen. We
And-
learned this early in life.
To add on to that, I don't have numbers in front of me right now, but I remember before it was going on a lot. Like the amount of money printed. This is more like for like the Americans, but I'm pretty sure for us it's the same. But the amount of money that was printed over those 2 years was more than like I think the previous 30 years combined.
Right.
Right. So yeah. So
And the
there's all
money
this
and
money.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. So we had one, or we had a few emails. One came in that we got to kind of PGify a little bit from Bob, titled "Effed Up." It's F the effing government for their effing effed up ideas. That was that was his email from Bob. So
The following program may contain adult language and mature stuff. No.
Bob is working on his vocabulary, I see.
Well, hey, he's telling it the way it is.
The way he feels for sure.
all right, Karen let us know that she got an email last month but didn't get one this month. So I replied to her
Oh, that's
and
right.
all of our other listeners that we will make sure that Randy doesn't mess up again, and you'll get your request for next time.
Oh, and notice Randy's the only one that's working, by the way.
No, notice the problem was he should have handed that off to somebody else.
I actually emailed and text Anthony for some help. And he did call later on after he had his ice cream and stuff.
Ice cap, get it right.
Ice
All right.
cream.
Another one from Eric. Eric says, loving it. Randy's sarcasm is A1. We love it here in Orlando, Florida, on our deck, drinking coffee and loving the show. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you're in
Well,
the-
we're trying
as
to
well.
convince Randy to do his own little podcast, so.
Yeah, where Jackie doesn't interrupt me.
we have one more, or not, a few more. One more from Laura. Laura says, Randy, you're so funny. The governments of the world have really screwed people with this COVID crap. And
Yeah.
just watch, COVID season is right around the corner. You think the last 2 years are bad? Just watch this year. Well, I don't know. I don't think people will be as receptive to any like shutdowns or anything like that. So I don't think they have the power they had at first. I think at first everyone was like petrified and like, what is this? People are dying. They're showing basically refrigerated trucks of dead bodies. So
Jeez.
I don't think people will go for it again because
No,
Yeah.
I'm hoping not. You know what? When COVID first started, I remember being in my driveway, and the only people you could talk to is your neighbors to the right and left. You know, they were all okay with it. They thought that the government, and I'm like, are you crazy? You're okay with this? Well, you know, whatever. I'm retired. Dude, like, I mean, this is the most insane thing I ever heard of, that you can tell people they're not allowed to go and earn a living. You're not allowed to go and earn a living. And then they're pretending, you know what? You know what's really frustrating? When you have a situation that is absolutely illogical, that you frame it in a really pretty way, which is what they did. This was totally illogical, and they framed it in a really good way so that they could get people behind them. Like they would say, you know, wear the mask, not for you, but for everyone else. So now if you don't wear a mask, you're going around committing mass suicide. When the truth of the matter is that, why you look up like that?
it'd be mass murder, not mass suicide, because you're killing
Yeah.
them.
Well, you're killing yourself too, because if you got it, then you're dying. Oh, I guess it's like the
Drink the juice.
murder, suicide, the bomb, the guys. Yeah,
Martyrs?
I'm gonna get in trouble. I know it. But
Well, then stop.
well, so the thing is that, you know, they send us, they put out this propaganda when they know that the masks that we're using do not protect you from a virus. They might protect you from spitting on people, but they won't protect you from a virus. And even the KN95s will not protect you from a virus. And they say, oh, those are the best masks. Yeah, they're the best masks out there, but they won't protect you from a virus. And even if we all wore the $30 viral protecting mask, we were using them totally wrong. So we would have spread it anyways. So the whole thing was really silly. And but meanwhile, that was only one part of it that was silly. Then, you know, it just kept getting stranger and stranger and stranger. And anybody who was willing to not just follow what they were hearing on the news, and you would actually do some research. So instead of COVID, our COVID that we're in now, you look back to the previous COVID when they did it, which was SARS, when they did it and they tried the mask thing, they found that the masks spread it more. And so that's why I don't want to get into this, is all because some people call it conspiracy stuff, but it's not conspiracy stuff. It's actually the truth. It's actually science. You go back and you read it. The conspiracy is what we did. We all had to wear masks and pretending like we're protecting people when we weren't. And I don't care. I'll wear a mask. I don't really care. That's not the point. The point is, why are we lying? Why are we lying to our children? Why are we lying to our constituents? Why are we lying to everybody? Just tell us to wear the mask. They don't really work, but you got to wear it because whatever. Be honest, then people won't be frustrated. And thank heaven for our truckers. That's all I got to say. Our truckers shut down Ottawa, got themselves in a lot of trouble, but now we don't have to follow all of these crazy protocols. They're getting rid of them. As a matter of fact, here in Canada, you couldn't go into a restaurant if you didn't have your vaccine shots. And you had to prove it to the restaurant that you had your vaccine shots to go in. They called it the vaccine passport, right? They started creating it. And then our Doug Ford, our leader in Ontario, he said he would never, ever pass them. But then when they said they're going to take away his funding, all of a sudden we had them. It's insane. But you know what? This directly affected real estate, because what really affected real estate was the fact that you made buying like the prices so cheap, which I'm going to say as realtors, we were a little bit excited about it, but only excited because the transactions went up like crazy. But we didn't really see the trap. We didn't see the fact that everybody wanted to upgrade their lives at that point because they were given a card, low interest rates, we'll call it a credit card, to be able to do so. Do you want to upgrade your life now? Remember, everybody's stuck at home. They're stuck at home with their wives. They're stuck at home with their kids. And usually
Most people wouldn't say stuck.
I say stuck.
No.
I say stuck. Okay, our family.
Anthony, your wife's not listening, right?
No,
Listen,
it's
I
true.
love my kids, but I need them to go to school for the 6 hours. I get a bit of relief.
Yeah, like our family is a little different. We're really, really close knit, so it didn't really affect us. We didn't really know that because
Your kids are older too.
Yeah, they're older, and Jackie and I were always together. We're always hanging out. We're at work together. We're at play together. We're at dinner together. We're together all the time. And so for us, being together wasn't a big deal. But most husbands and wives aren't together all the time. So then when they're together, confined in that space, they're like, we need a bigger
But
space.
sometimes it's not even the confined into space, it's the idea that drives you to
Yeah.
that, right?
They're like, we're all here. It's all crowded. Well, I have to try to work from home if I can. The kids are crying.
think
All this
it's not-
stuff. We need
It's
a
not
bigger
even just
house.
that. Like, it's not even just that. It's just the fact that you can't, like, you don't have your outlets. Like, for example, for me, it's basketball, right? I have my twice a week, I go play basketball to de-stress or do whatever, just, enjoy yourself, right? If you're just at home all the time, you can't do the things you like to do. Every little thing, the things that didn't bother you before now start to bother you because now you're
Yeah.
seeing all the little, whatever it is. Like, oh, you didn't,
Yeah.
you didn't
I
put
don't
that
know.
one thing away that one time or whatever it is.
Didn't bother me that whole time. I mean, like we left yesterday, I think our kids have called us in less than 24 hours at least 10 times. I got off the airplane and my phone is ding, ding, ding. Call me, call me, call me. It's like,
Yeah, but it is true. You notice things that you didn't notice before. Like for me, I noticed how thin my wife's eyebrows were. You know, I never noticed that before, but it was COVID.
what?
And so here I am.
I have really good eyebrows for my age. The hair stopped growing in places I don't want it. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. So the thing is, everybody was kind of stuck together in their home and they didn't have the outlets like Anthony's talking about. So, and then money was cheap. They could actually buy a bigger home for less money than what they were paying for their home at that moment in time. So
Actually-
let's sell and then what? Actually
Actually,
what?
talking about what Anthony said about missing the basketball, it was a joke between my friend and I when everything got canceled. We were like, this is the only break we get when they go play floor hockey.
Funny. So that's why people were out there buying homes. They were even deciding, hey, you know what? I actually don't like the idea of buying a bigger home in the city. Now I can do maybe work from home. So let me move out in the suburbs. And then the suburbs went on fire because a lot of people thought that. So it really did have an effect. But now what's happening, it's all being reversed because it was all fake.
Very quickly.
Because it was a fake environment that the Bank of Canada put these policies in, trapped Canadians, like, because we didn't see it. If we would have known, we could have been out there warning, hey, this is what they're going to do. They're going to come back and they're going to stick it to it. Well, possibly stick it to you. So you know what, because that's what I feel like they're doing right now. They're sticking it to us. And the reason why I feel that is not because of the fact that they have to raise the interest rates to bring down inflation is their theory. It's not that. It's the fact that they're the reasons that the interest rates are high. The inflation is high. That's the part that kills me, is that it's directly because of the policies that they put in place to explode the growth of money that always results in high inflation. And they're the smart ones and they don't know that. That's the part that kills me. And then they turn around and react in such a way that now we have to punish you guys in order to solve this problem, when they're the ones that need to be punished. That's why I say they need to be let go. I don't mean it as an anger thing or anything like that. It's just you did bad policy, you created a bad situation, and you're making policies now that are maybe right for the situation that you caused. So goodbye. Let someone else do them. I'll suffer through it, but I want somebody else at the helm who isn't pulling the trigger with these games, and that's it. Do your article.
We have a few more quick emails. One from Frank says, hello folks, I did not receive any contest notification for this month. So does that mean everyone will get a gift card?
We
And
just
then he
talked
puts
about
in-
how bad the economy is, Frank.
Yeah.
He did end it off with only kidding though. So
That's a good one, Frank. At least
want-
Frank didn't use 14 F-bombs.
we
Sorry,
have from
Bob, just teasing you.
one from Brian titled Government Control. Hi, Randy. It is all about government control. I know because I work for the bastards. My family was screwed.
You know what's really weird? The government is us. We are the government. We're the ones that put it in
We
place.
don't get no say.
Oh,
when
we're
We do have say with our votes, but
Yeah.
we
We're
just
supposed
don't
to be, but-
exercise it properly. Not even, I don't even think half of Canadians vote.
I think this election that went on just the past week, they said 30% of people turned up. That's
Yeah,
it.
but that's municipal, like,
No, but
I
I'm
mean,
still saying 30%.
But it starts there. Like the thing is, I don't think anyone, again, me personally, I don't think people like they don't trust anybody. So it's like
Yeah,
it's like what's gonna be the difference? Like it's am I choosing this liar or that liar? Like, and then they say this, they might, the only time anything gets done is when it's almost time for the next re-election. Right. So
Yeah.
then that's when whatever. Like this time was what the gas thing. Ford did that. The gas thing. Trudeau does. It's again. It's
Yeah.
always when it's time for election. Okay, we said this, and this. Okay, what's the one thing we can do that's gonna most likely get me back into office?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
think you hit the nail on the head there.
I do agree with that, but I also think you're part of the problem. The fact that you think like that and that your vote doesn't really count and it doesn't matter for anybody. And it's people like you that's bringing this country
He
down.
didn't say him. He said, I think people.
Like
Listen to him.
you.
You don't
Yeah,
listen to
Randy.
him?
Yes, I do, but I wanted to badger him. It's not
Yeah.
Remember, people. Remember, listeners. Randy's the reason why you guys didn't get a raffle ticket this time. It's all about Randy. One last one from Dave. Dave says, Randy, do a sarcastic show. That would be hilarious. COVID made thousands of businesses and people go bankrupt. The a-hole governments. There we go.
Mhm. And I just like to add a little thing in there. I don't believe it was COVID that did it. It was government policies that did it. I was watching right now in the Senate in the United States, they had a bunch of doctors that lost their license. Some of them lost their license. I'm not sure if some of them didn't. And well, I think a bunch of people were all fired, nurses, doctors, whatever. And they had them in and they had this meeting. And the doctors, one of the doctors that really hit me, he said that he had half of the mortality rate than all of his peers in the hospital. Half, 50% less mortality rate dealing with COVID. He got not disbarred, but he got his license pulled. He wasn't allowed to practice because he was not using the medicine that was prescribed, that they said he had to use, because he wasn't he was doing it differently. He believed in a different philosophy. He believed in actually trying things that work, and when he sees that they were working. And one other, and then he used what was working rather than what's being prescribed. And they said, hey, you're not allowed to do that, even though that's how doctors have always been, is that you're trying to work in the best interest of your client at that moment. But they changed the policies to no, you have to work with the prescription that we lay down from
No, it just
pharmaceutical
shows you
heaven.
that their policies are way more important in human life.
Big pharma, and that's what one of the consistent themes there was, that they felt that big pharma was in control, and they thought that it was a conflict, and that's where a lot of the illogical stuff that guys like me that can't get over things was running around going crazy, like, why is it like this, why is it like this? Because big pharma, what they're claiming was the ones that were running things. And what was more interesting, what was more important than us, and that was actually profits. And this is what they're saying. I really don't know, but I thought it was interesting, because one of the things is that if a doctor ever did go against the grain, because they saw some research and they saw some things on the front line, if they ever did go against the grain, they were silenced immediately, so that there could only be one message out there. And that is not what I understand how Canada or United States or England or any of us are supposed to be run, but we were. This is what they were saying. Now, Jack, do your 3 neighborhoods.
Okay, so you know me, I always bring a little bit of fun to it, and these two talk logic. So actually, 3 neighborhoods in Canada have been ranked the coolest in the world. So I think that's pretty cool in itself that we got some ranking there. And
Just a quick question. Is one of them because of me, because I'm
No.
there?
There is not one in Whitby, no.
No, but when I was there, no? The
No.
clothes I was
I
wearing?
don't think
is
you were
there a
ever
picture?
in Montreal, were you?
Yes, I have. That would explain that one. Okay, okay, go ahead. Let's see.
So Montreal came in 5th place in the world, and it is called, oh my goodness, why can I not find it? Miles End. So Mile End in Montreal, which is a particular little neighborhood, came in at fifth, and they said it has some of the best restaurants, bookstores, flower shop, butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. Oh, that kind of rhyme. And so that's why that street was named that. And I know a lot of people, even from Canada, vacation in Quebec and Montreal because it's beautiful. The historic buildings and everything they say there is just breathtaking. And then the second one is in Toronto, and it's Dundas West, was ranked the 12th. But then it's really weird because then after that,
Best bars in North America this year.
yeah, it has the best art galleries, bars, nightclubs, and coffee shops. So that's why that was deemed 12th.
But they called it snug bars. I don't know what a snug bar is.
It says snug bar. Yeah, I don't, what is that?
Don't
Never
know.
heard of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but apparently it was, like he said, the best bars in North America in that little area. And then the 25th on the list.
Hold on,
was-
were they number one?
It
Or
said that
12th
one
coolest?
part.
12th
Yeah.
coolest street, okay.
Yeah, and then the third one is Vancouver's West End, which is a quiet little enclave for the elite. It's let's move down past
And they're
here.
the 25th, Vancouver.
Between Stanley Park and Sunset Beach, the shopping and dining on Denman and Robertson, and the LGBTQ hub of Davie Village. This neighborhood has everything going for it. So we got in there with one in Toronto, which we normally do end up at
Dundas
least once
Street
on
West.
all west, but yeah. And then they show this amazing coffee, which is like, almost looks like creme brulee, hey?
Hmm?
OMG Baked Goodness, it's called, in Dundas West. So there you go. We've made it on the list again.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well,
Needless
before we
to say,
finish
I've
up
been
here,
to Dundas West, so
I have, and I think that's why.
that's why, okay.
You know, it's like when a rare bird is spotted somewhere, you know, that place becomes protected
Okay,
land.
let Anthony
I
have.
think
his
that's what
spiel.
happened there.
I'm
They
so
saw
happy
me
that-
in Dundas West, huh?
so happy that you can stay confident
Oh, I know.
even with everything else that's going on. But I digress. So my story is I guess not the most happy story. It's actually about a lady who purchased a home in Ottawa, and she's having issues to actually get into the home, and she's actually facing homelessness now. So basically she tried to buy a home in Ottawa for her and her daughter. She wanted to move there because her daughter has autism and they have better services out there for her. But
Oh.
unfortunately, she bought the home sight unseen during the pandemic real estate boom through a real estate wholesaler, which buys and sells off-market homes and at below market value, and basically you get to avoid realtor fees. But apparently it was very risky for her, because what happened was there's tenants in there who are being very, very uncooperative, and she basically has collected no rent, not able to get them out, not even really being able to get in the house to kind of check for repairs needed or anything like that. And it's almost driving her to homelessness because she lost her job because her job she has relies on her credit score. And because of this issue she's having, her credit has gotten worse and worse to try to, I guess, deal with this issue. So that's caused her to lose her job. She's basically almost now going to maybe get foreclosure on the property because she can't pay the rent anymore, because she's paying for the rent in the home plus the rent for where she's trying to live now. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, you got to be careful when you're buying a house, especially if there's tenants in there. A lot of the laws against are kind of geared towards the renters, and the issue she's having too is just getting a hearing because of all the backlog because of COVID, when you weren't allowed
8
to,
months out.
18.
right?
Yeah.
And they say that within 25 days you're supposed to be able to get 25 business days, you're supposed to get a hearing, but her hearing is being pushed out like 6 months because of the backlog. Right. And she tried to get like an emergency hearing, but she's having issues, and she's pretty much just kind of, to be blunt, pissed off with the government and like basically not protecting her. I mean, you take your money, you buy a house, and I don't know, to me, anyways, in my opinion, it's completely ridiculous, especially it's gone on for so long. So it hasn't been finalized yet. I think she's still in the process, but hopefully it gets figured out before she, as the thing says, does go homeless, because that would be.
Yeah, you know what? There's a similar case in Mississauga going on right now. Same thing. This lady she took the money she saved up and bought an investment property. And apparently the thing that there's going on as well is that she ended up with what they call a professional renter. And in the real estate world, a professional renter is someone that goes around, they pay their first and last, maybe the first 1 month after that, and then they don't pay. And she's got the same problem. This tenant owes her $13,000 and she's about to lose this house because she can't afford both of them. And the tenant's still living there. She has no hearing for 8 months. And she's like, I mean, at some point, the government has to stop this. It's just not fair.
It's not how it works. Government, unfortunately, is not in the business of helping investors. The government is working at the core humanitarian level. So what happened is that, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, we were constructing a list of professional tenants. And so there would be, you know, available for you to go and check. And then the Privacy Act came in and wiped that right out and said that you're not allowed to put that list together. So then they emboldened these people. And so now you have to be really careful. I would honestly say, you know, I'm not trying to assist our industry. As a matter of fact, working with landlords to help them with tenants is one part of our industry that's it doesn't pay much at all. As a matter of fact, if that's all you did, you would actually go bankrupt doing that service in the real estate industry anyways. And but it's very helpful because if you're using a realtor, because for example, this lady would have never, ever been able to bought that property with the bad tenants there without knowing if she had a realtor, because they would have had to, the seller would have had to done all kinds of disclosures for the realtor, or they'd be on the hook. Or it would have been a vacant possession. If she wanted vacant possession, then the realtor would explain to her how the vacant possession process works prior to you taking over the property. Because if you're moving into the property, there are letters that you can provide right up front to say that you are moving in. That goes to the landlord and tenant board and starts the process. Then you can delay your closing and things of that nature. So because she didn't have any professional help, she's out there on her own. I'm not saying it's always fun and rosy, even with professional help, but being all alone in that process and now going bankrupt, it's not worth the savings of commission. And the only person who saved commission was the seller, because the buyer doesn't pay a commission. They pay for the deal. They support the entire deal. So it wasn't worth it.
And that was the other thing that this lady in Mississauga was really upset about, because I guess when it all came out and everything, this tenant's name came up, and apparently this is the third time that this tenant is doing this. The third time. So if there was a list or something they could have went on, this would have never happened to her.
Okay, Anthony, you got the last minute and a half.
One last email from Erica talking about the truckers. Hello, Randy. Yes, thank God for the truckers' protests. I'm loving watching the government hearings right now that are exposing the lies by Trudeau and the Liberal government here in Canada. What Trudeau did, enacting the Emergency Act, is legal, and the hearings are going on stating this. They froze truckers and supporters' bank accounts that supported the truckers. They pulled truckers out of the rigs and drove them 20 to 30 miles away from Ottawa and dropped them off in the middle of nowhere in the middle of winter to fend for themselves, etc. There are 72 lawsuits against the police right now for doing this. The news and hearings reported that 97% of people in Ottawa supported the truckers. They feed the homeless and put thousands of dollars in the economy of Ottawa by purchasing food, hotel rooms, supplies, gas, etc. Trudeau is getting screwed now in these hearings. I love it. That's from Erica.
Thank you, Erica.
So I think we can't really talk on that too much, especially I know Randy probably have a mouthful, but might have to hold off until next
12
week.
o'clock.
Mhm. Next
So-
week.
Yes. So as always, listeners, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you'll be here next week with us as well. If you want to send us an email, you can do so at onair@yourteam.pro. If you want to watch this show or any of our last previous shows, you can head on to YouTube, search for YHYM, and you can see us there. So as always, it's been your home, your money, and our lives on realityradio101.com.
Bye for now.
Oh, waving in the wrong area.
Have a great weekend.
This is the story
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101.
Here's what happened when they decided